Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint some simple flower pots. We're going to put some fun flowers in them. And hopefully this will be a good one for beginners. I'm going to try to keep it simple. I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey everybody.
He's managing chat tonight, so if you've got questions, you can ask those and we'll try to answer. Let's get started. So we're going to show you step by step all the way through here from start to finish. I have not painted this ahead of time, so I've just got kind of an idea of what I want to do, and you'll get to see the whole process with this video, and we'll probably chat about other stuff as we go too, but as we do. But welcome, glad you're here, and hope you stick around and subscribe and come back. And thanks to our regulars who are hanging out with us tonight. Really glad that you're with us for these live streams. It'd be really awkward if it was just Mark and I talking to each other.
It would be just a normal night, but you'd be painting.
That's true. No, if it was a normal night, I would be talking to you and you'd have your headphones in and wouldn't hear me, and then exactly. All right. Let's get we're gonna on to other topics. 8 by 16 inch canvas here. I have prepped it with a very light coat. Put a couple little dollops of very little, like dime size dollops of Quinacridone burnt orange on here, but you could use like burnt sienna, Quinacridone red, or Quinacridone magenta, any kind of orangey red, orange brown, something like that would look good under here for that terracotta background. So that's what I started with here, and I just wiped it on with the paper towel, sprayed it with water beforehand so that it would go on smooth, and so that's what we've got here for our background. That just gives us a kind of a starting place and makes it easier for us to see our colors as we mix them and put them on our canvas. So we're going to put our three flower pots here. Let me go ahead and go over our colors really quick, speaking of, and then we'll get into the lesson of drawing and all that. So I've got carbon black. This one is neutral gray, same color as my palette. N5 is the exact number. Burnt Umber, burnt sienna, Quinacridone burnt orange, yellow oxide, cadmium yellow light, cadmium red light, Quinacridone magenta, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue green shade, cobalt teal, phthalo green yellow shade, green gold, unbleached titanium, titanium white, and glass glazing liquid. Most of these are mixable, so if you wanted to limit your palette, I would say do your 2 reds, your 2 blues, skip your greens altogether, and do your 2 yellows here. And then you could probably get, if you already have Quinacridone burnt orange, I would use that. If you don't, use burnt sienna. And then you can mix your gray as well. So there's a lot of colors here that I'm going to use as a shortcut tonight, but you can mix these on your own if you want to. So they're all 3 of these can be mixed with the other colors that I've got on my palette. All right, so it looks like a lot of colors, but you don't have to have all of these if you don't want to. And I have color mixing videos about how to mix some of these colors if you are interested in that. All right, so as far as brushes go, we're going to want some sort of a stippler brush to do some of the foliage. And then I'm going to use, I think, my Aspen brushes mostly, and these will give me kind of a more juicy textured brush strokes. So I have a variety of flats, rounds, and a filbert and an angle. And then I've also got my blenders. These are all Princeton brushes, Princeton brand brushes. So there's some down in the description links where you can buy the materials and things in the video. All right, let's get going here. So I've just got regular school chalk here, and I'm going to draw out my 3 pots. And I'm going to center this middle one just kind of right here, and it's pretty low to the bottom, so I'm just going to kind of do a curved line for that, and then space them out. And you can make them a little closer together, so you can make 2 of them closer together and one a little bit farther out if you want, however you want to do it. So you could move both of these over. You know, there's all kinds of different ways of doing it. I think I'm going to kind of make mine sort of equally spaced though, and maybe move them in just slightly so that I have room on the sides for the flowers to spill out. So something like in there. And I'm going to keep them down to, if you find the halfway mark, I'm going to come just under that. So that's going to be the top of my pots because I want plenty of room for our flowers. So something like that, and I'm matching this curve to this curve. And then you can do another curve for the lip, or this one actually kind of didn't have a big one. Then angle in, angle in, angle, angle. And these are angled in a little bit more, so these come out a little bit farther. So I think I'm just going to make them all three the same kind of pot. Maybe. So somewhere like that. I might widen them out a little bit, but you get the idea. Okay, so there's our little 3 flower pots. I think I'm going to widen them out just a little bit, just to make them a little bit more chunky. All right, and then we'll have our flowers and things all up in here. This one's like a little bit more rounded. This one kind of comes up the highest. This one is down in here, comes out and has a butterfly in here. Okay, and I'm not going to really do the greenery right now. I'm just kind of wanting to get an idea of where I want to put my pots, and then we'll paint around them. So let's go ahead and get our flat brush. This is an 8 flat from the Princeton Aspen short-handled brushes, and we're going to have a brush set coming out later on this year, so be watching for that. I'm really excited. So we'll tell you more about it as we get closer, but these will be the brushes in the set, these short-handled Aspens. All right, let me see. So I think I could do it either way. I could probably do either the pot and then do the background, or do the background and then the pot. I kind of think I want to draw out the pot a little bit just so I know exactly where I want it before I do my background. So I think I'm going to use my 2 round actually and do that first. So I'm going to get my burnt sienna here, maybe a little bit of burnt umber, and just kind of quickly draw out. So you could see I left about an inch maybe between each one, and then like an inch and a half or so along the edges there. So I'm just going to kind of mark out sort of my main, kind of did it in chalk, but it's pretty messy, so this will just give me a little bit cleaner line, and I'm going to blend those out so I don't have a real hard line there. Just kind of mark in my darkest areas along the sides there. And there. Curve it along the bottom. Okay, so that'll give us a good starting point. What I don't want to do is do my background and then miss a spot, you know, around my pots. So this is kind of just trying to prevent that from happening. So, and kind of angling in there. Maybe this one in the middle is kind of bigger than the other ones. The nice thing about these is they don't have to be perfect, since all pots can be, you know, different sizes and shapes and things. A little bit more user-friendly. You can use a ruler if you want to, or I will have a traceable for this if you don't want to have to draw this out yourself. I'll have a traceable that you can just trace on this design, then you'll have the exact outline. So if you're going to trace it on, probably wouldn't even worry about, well, no, I probably would still paint around them just because we've got this terracotta color already down, so I want to cover it all up with our background color. something in here. You get the idea, and I'm just going to kind of brush out those lines inward so that they kind of fade out a little bit. Here we go. And in reality, this is going to go like this behind here, but this whole back area here is going to be dark green. So if you do the kind of, you know, any flowers that are not going all the way over the edges here and here, then you are going to want to paint in that background of that pot too, the back half of the pot. So just something to think about if you change up your flowers. Keep an eye on that. All right. There we go. So now we got a little bit better drawing of our pots there. And we can do our background. Okay, so going back to that flat brush now. I think I'm going to do actually might get a little bit bigger. I think I'm going to get a little bit bigger brush. I think I'm going to do a 10 bright instead of 6 or whatever that was, 8. So I just went one size up. This one's closer to over an inch, a little bit over an inch. All right, so I think I'm going to use this gray here. And again, if you don't have this gray, you can just mix black and white, maybe a little bit of brown to it. This gray has a little bit of a brown undertone to it. And I think I'm going to use it as our main background color. Add a little bit of the Unbleached Titanium for this bottom part here. And we can add a little bit of green if you want it, like in my reference photo. When I Photoshop these, I really just kind of grab whatever color, like paint pictures I have. So sometimes the background is not exactly what I want, but it just was handy at the time when I'm trying to throw my schedule together. So we don't have to do that background green. We might do a little bit more neutral. One thing you will want to do is make sure that your line there, though, kind of follows through. So just kind of even. Okay. So this is the gray, warm gray, and neutral gray 5, and unbleached titanium, or Titan buff if you don't have unbleached titanium. Unbleached titanium is the name of it in the Liquitex brand. That's what I use instead of the golden buff titanium because I prefer it. But both are fine. Both will work. Okay, so there we go. And let's go ahead and get some burnt umber, maybe a little bit of ultramarine blue. And I'm just going to kind of come underneath here. This paint is still wet. I'm just going to kind of pull off to the side here into that gray. Just trying to get a kind of just go right up to the edge and kind of pull out and then come up underneath it. Pull to the side. The idea is for it to kind of blend out. If it doesn't fully blend out, that's fine. You can always go in with your gray and kind of blend it in. But if I catch it while it's a little bit wet, and then I can kind of do like this. I can get my little flower pot shadows in there while it's still wet. And if it feels sticky, you know, because it may take you a little bit longer to paint in your gray than it took me. So if your gray is feeling sticky, just let it dry, and then you can do this over, and then you can always go back in with your light gray that you did and come back over to the top of parts and kind of blend back this way into it to blend it. But it's fine even if that dark gray goes all the way to the next pot. It's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. So Okay, there we go. So let's do our top part, and I think I'm going to just use my unbleached titanium, and I think I will use a little bit of like cobalt teal for a more of a like a little bit of a green with my gray. And if you notice, I'm kind of leaving a little tiny bit of that light red showing in parts. So to give it that kind of impressionist style, you kind of leave some of your margins and borders between the colors showing. So, or that background color showing. So just in a few places, I'm going to do that. And then as I paint this in, I'm going to let some of the background creep in places too, you know, around the edges and things. So getting some more of that unbleached titanium, cobalt teal, and I still had that gray in my brush, so I hadn't cleaned it out. That's what gives it that kind of neutral look. It had that ultramarine blue and burnt umber in there, and the neutral gray and unbleached titanium. So it kind of has all those colors that we use down here in this color up here, because they're still in my brush. You can still see them there. So don't have to clean it out in between. This will actually make our color up here blend with the color down here, and they'll look like it go together. I really like this color. It's kind of pretty. It is actually pretty close to what I had in the reference too, which is fun. I wasn't gonna do that, but that's okay. Guess it wants to be green. Okay, so adding a little bit of the unbleached titanium here, and as I press down harder, I can get some of that gray to come out too. So I want a little bit of that gray in places. If I press down, I can get that gray to come off. And then if it's looking too dark, I can go back in and pick up some of that lighter color again and blend that in. And I'm just going to kind of lightly go over this area. I don't have to really cover this particular area because it's going to be flowers and stuff, but some of this will show through, so I do want to go ahead and just get some color back there. Getting that unbleached titanium with the cobalt teal mixture right here. Let's get some more. It's kind of maybe like mostly unbleached titanium. You see I just picked up a little bit of that water on the corner of my brush because my brush was getting dry. And the more you get these kind of fuzzy marks, the more you realize that your brush is drying out. So it's dry brush. We're unintentionally dry brushing, which is fine. But if you want your paint to go on a little bit more smoothly, then you'll want a little bit of water in your brush, but you don't want to dunk it because then it'll get too much water in your paint, and that's not a good thing. So just getting a little bit more of this. Now the more that gray is worked out of my brush, the brighter this color is going to get, the more saturated it's going to get, because that gray is not being mixed in with it, which is fine. So I just want to, if I have a new color or something that looks, you know, a little bit different in one place, then I might go back and add it in a couple other places just so that it all blends together. Looks unified. Okay, that looks good. And we can come back in and add more light color to it later if we want, but that's a good starting place, I think. And so my chalk got off there. All right, let me, this is dry now. Let me just get a wet paper towel and take this chalk off. Just wipe it down. That way it won't get anywhere where we don't want it. All right. let's do our pots. So I'm going to keep these pretty loosely painted. We'll have a dark side and light side, so our dark side's over here, our light coming from this direction. So we'll put our light highlights on this half of our pots, and then this half will have our darker side. So let me see. I think I'm going to use my Unbleached Titanium. Now I've cleaned out my brush because I want to start with a fresh color here. And I think I'm going to use the yellow Oxide. Lots of Unbleached Titanium. So they're about 50-50 there. And if you want to, you can use your palette knife for this to mix it. I'm just going to use my brush since I've already got it on here. And then I'm going to grab my burnt umber. And I'm going to leave this over here as is to pull into. I'm going to mix my burnt umber over here. And then I'm going to add some burnt sienna to it. Right, and then I'm going to grab some unbleached titanium and have that with my yellow oxide over here. That'll be like my kind of brighter terracotta color. I'm going to add a little bit of the burnt umber to it to tone it down, darken it up a little bit. Okay, so that'll be kind of our three tones in our pot, and we'll just kind of overlap them as we go. So I'm going to start with my darker color. I always usually want to start with your dark color. And you can switch to a smaller brush if you want, but I think I'm just going to go with this one until I can't control it easily anymore. Probably didn't need that gray line through that one, but that's okay. Right, so if your paint's getting kind of sticky and hard to work with, just add a little bit of water to your brush. It's starting to get that way for me here. I'm just going to try to paint in and go ahead and kind of pull out this way so that you don't have a strong line there. You want this edge here to kind of blend out a little bit. So if I kind of just pull like this, I can kind of get a natural breaking edge there. Kind of lift up as I get to that edge and then come back in here and fill in this more solidly back here. Okay. How's chat doing tonight?
They're doing great.
Yeah. Everybody staying cool, I guess. What is it, winter time in our for our Australian friends?
It is yes, it's late winter.
Oh, goodness.
So we'll be heading towards spring here.
It's hard to believe. You're in the middle of our hot heat wave here.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to imagine any place is cool.
Yeah, it's been pretty warm here for sure. But
Yeah. I'm getting my mid-tone color now. I'm going to go this way with it. Yeah, we had a decent start to the summer, but man, it got hot all of a sudden.
yeah, the last 3 weeks has been rough, and it looks like it's going to continue another couple weeks for sure. But I was just looking to see if I could find some fun terracotta facts.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fun terracotta facts. That's
Yeah.
not a hashtag that
Not something that
a
you
phrase
think of.
that you hear every day.
Well, to be honest with you, the facts aren't really that fun. I mean, they're just facts.
Just facts.
Yeah, they're just plain
Take the
old,
fun off of
yeah,
it.
just plain old facts.
We take the fun out of
Out of facts.
terracotta. Out of facts.
No, I was just trying to see when it was first used. It was like 24,000 BC.
What?
Yeah,
24.
1,000 BC. So 1,000
My
years.
brain can't even wrap around that.
And go 24 more of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my brain cannot wrap around that number.
There were terracotta artifacts that were figurines found in Moravia. So there's
I'm
that.
going to get my light color now here and go on this half with the, or this third, really third. Wow. Terracotta, that. See?
So it's nothing new,
Yeah.
really.
Nope, nothing new. It's very pretty though.
And one of the famous uses of terracotta is the terracotta army
Yeah, in China.
in China. Yep.
Yeah, that was one of the things in American Amazing Race that we like to watch the Amazing Race, and they had them go find their clues in that area there, and they were like, oh, there's the guys, and then they had to leave immediately, and I'm like, that's just not fair. Like, if I went, I would just be like, forget the race. I want to watch. I want to look at these
This is pretty
things.
cool.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't seem fair. Very fair. Okay, so getting the burnt umber here, and I'm just going to use the edge of my brush here, but you could switch to a smaller brush if you want. I find the bigger brushes though can kind of do some pretty good lines, and I'm going to go ahead and go across here and do some lines. And you should always, still be able to kind of see these through what we did before. And if they look kind of rough, that's okay, because that's kind of the style of this type of painting, that impressionist style. That's why it's so kind of beginner friendly, I find, because it doesn't have to be perfect, It can be a little bit wonky in places. So I am going to clean it up a little bit right here, but I don't want to get too fussy with it. That's kind of the charm of this kind of painting. Hey, excuse me. It's okay. You can get a little bit of that. The Quinacridone Burnt Orange has a slight pink tone to it, and that's why I used it, because I kind of see a little bit of pink in these, so that's why I grabbed that. So I'm going to kind of load my smaller brush. Now I got a 6 flat here, and I'm going to set it down and just right on that edge and just kind of drag it, almost laying my brush flat against the surface. And I'm just going to kind of drag across here to get my highlight to come out. And I'm kind of lifting and sort of flicking back this way slightly, just slightly. Okay, there we go. Let's do it here. I'm not going to go right up against the edge on this one. I think I'm going to come in a little bit, and I think probably going to put a little bit of that darker color right against that edge too. Just bring it in just a little bit. That actually makes that pot look more rounded. If you start your highlight in just slightly from the edge. And kind of keep it sort of on this area right there. Get a little bit of burnt umber. I'm just going to kind of come in with that burnt umber right on that edge there. Clean up that edge just a little bit and go a little bit darker right there, just before where my highlight is. Okay, it kind of defines that edge a little bit. And then again here.
They got a
You can
pretty
see I'm doing
good.
this multiple times, so it doesn't have to be perfect the first time you do it. What?
Got a pretty good comment here.
Okay.
I'd like to share.
You got a what comment?
A pretty good comment.
Okay.
So I asked Kathy. She said it's okay to share this.
I've noticed that I've picked up a lot of good habits from Angela, planning out my painting strategy, color choices, etc., as well as talking to people that aren't in the room with me. Go, Kathy. I love that. That is awesome. Yeah, I do. And I talk to myself even when I'm not. I talk to myself all the time anymore. It's just like I narrate my whole life anymore. It's pretty funny. It's can carry on a conversation for hours with just myself. Pretty funny. Okay, I'm going to come down along that edge, just darken and define that edge there with my darkest color, which is that burnt umber and quinacridone burnt orange. So I'm just coming down and just kind of dry brushing into that area there. And going right along where I want it the darkest first, and then kind of as I move in it will kind of lose some of the color, and then as I pull down it'll just kind of barely skim it. I'm going to come up under here and darken up the bottom to define that bottom of these pots too with this color. Okay, and that's about all we have to do here. Now I'm gonna, like, I've got this like weird little bit right here that's kind of sticking out and different things. But if you look at our reference photo, there's a lot of weird kind of marks and things in here. So I'm not gonna stress too much over these little quirks. But I think I'm gonna get some gray and add that to my yellow unbleached titanium mixture that was over here, my yellow oxide mixture, and add some of that. If you've got a color that's like a little bit lighter, you can even pull down instead of across. And then like right there, I think I want to kind of make that a little bit more of a mid-tone color, so I'm just going to kind of take my darker color and mix it with this lighter one. Try to get kind of a mid-tone and push that back just a little bit right there. Okay. And then one last little thing is to get some of that burnt umber, maybe a little bit of that gray. Maybe a little bit of the unbleached titanium. So just kind of getting a kind of a neutral brown with a little bit of a reddish tint to it, and I'm just going to dab it on my pot in different places to make some random marks. I might even use my finger to kind of push them around. But there's like little marks and dings in these pots. Just using the corner of the brush. Mark them up, make them not so perfect. Okay. So let's work on our flowers here. I think I'm just going to stick with this brush, and I'm going to grab my green, my phthalo green, and some burnt umber. Make a nice dark brown. This is close to like a sap green or something like that. And I'm going to use it right up against that edge there. And up. And as I come out, I'm going to want to fuzz out this color, so I'm going to kind of flick my brush so I get some fuzzy edges and things, softer shapes. And this will be my hydrangea, so, or not, is that hydrangea? No, not hydrangea, geranium. They both have a G in them. It's close enough. Do my stems there and kind of try to plan out a little bit of where I'm going to put the leaves. Okay, so there we go. Let's start there, and so maybe the next one I'll add a little bit of blue to this, so it's like a slightly different tone. And I'll also go in dark. I want this almost black here. And this time I'm going to bring a few of these leaves over the edge of the pot. Like that. And then kind of out a little bit on either side. Come up. There's one plant that I kind of photoshopped in down low. And then there was another different one up high, so I'm going to wait to do that one. And then this last one, maybe I'll get a little bit more of that phthalo green and maybe some blue and burnt umber. Ultramarine blue this time. And down here. And this is kind of heather, so it's kind of sticking up like this. And then there's another plant that's some flowers that we'll kind of add to it. We'll kind of start there. Okay, we got a good start. So far, so good. I think before I get too much farther on here, I think I'm going to get my Unbleached Titanium and just press that brush flat and go in. Whoop, I got a little bit of that green. And go in kind of down here. Add some rough texture to my pots. A little bit lighter. And it will be kind of lighter right above that dark shadow right here. So if you want to, you can kind of add a little bit of a highlight right along there too, to kind of pull that lip forward slightly. Okay. They're looking really messy, and I'm trying really hard not to mess with them. But it looks good. It's going to look good. It's a style. I'm so used to trying to make everything smooth and look clean. I'm fighting myself right now. Let's just leave it alone. I'm telling myself that, not you. You can do what you want. What? Stop touching.
Don't touch.
Don't touch it. Leave it. All right, I'm going to clean off my workspace here, so I've got some room to mix my flower colors here. So we did good. We got our main shapes in. I think this is going to be a fairly fast one. I think. Well, I'm going to keep my flower shapes simple too. I think I'm going to stick with this brush. It seems like it's doing okay for me. So what I want to do is mix up kind of a green gold, like a kind of a green gold color. And then, so I'm going to use the green gold and add some of the Quinacridone burnt orange to it. Maybe a little bit of the phthalo green. Come on. Just for like a darker version of that green. I think I added too much Quinacridone burnt orange there. There we go. So that's kind of the color. I wanted like a muted green there. Phthalo green and yellow oxide and either burnt sienna or Quinacridone burnt orange there. With a little bit of green gold as well, but green gold is mixed with yellow and phthalo green, so you know, we've already got it going on there. Let me get some white. I'm gonna mix up a lighter version of this just by using what's left in my brush or my palette knife here. So this should be kind of a Titan Mars kind of, or Titan green pale color. I was looking at this one and I was thinking that that was a pretty good color that I wanted to use, but I didn't want to pull it out to use. So this is kind of a mixture that would be equivalent. Okay, there we go. So we've got, I'm going to put it up here since it's kind of the lighter version. Got a light, medium, and dark green there. So let's do a kind of a teal version. So I'll start with my phthalo green and cobalt teal and add yellow oxide. Make a really pretty pale green. So this will be our mid-tone color. And I'll add some white over here for my light version. When you're doing, you know, foliage and flowers and things like that, I find that having at least 3 values is like the bare minimum. And if you're simplifying your painting, then this is definitely the way to go. You know, most paintings are going to have in between values as well, but this will at least get you something that approximates some sort of form. You want that darkest dark, mid-tone, and lightest highlights. And the darkest and the lightest will be kind of the least visible, and your mid-tones will be kind of what you notice the most, and those highlights should be just accents. They shouldn't be like the main color. Unless it's a super light bush that doesn't have a lot of form, but hopefully your reference photo has good dark and light values so you can shadow really nicely. So for the dark version of this one, I think I'm going to use Phthalo Blue and burnt sienna. That will make a dark teal. And then I'll add a little bit of that yellow oxide to it. Might add a little bit more of my blue. Actually, let's go ahead and add some of this cobalt teal because it's lighter in value and it's in this one. There we go. Ooh, that's almost blue. Isn't that pretty? Very pretty. Okay. All right, so that'll give us a few colors to start with, and we can mix and match them, mix them together, and mix other colors with just our phthalo green, which I probably need to put a little bit more of that out. So I'm gonna put out some of this one since it's in the tube and I don't have to open up the cap. All right, wipe that off. There we go. All right, so let's do the back of this one. with that light yellow green, so it'll be kind of like this tone here. So let's go ahead and start with our kind of darkish. I'm going to mix these two together to make the medium darkish color, and press my brush flat so that I can kind of get some leafy brush strokes out of it, and I'm just going to kind of wiggle my brush and press it down here and do a few little leafy brush strokes here. And they don't have to be anything fancy. These leaves are kind of rounded. I'm going to get my darker color here and come across and add a few more. I think that'll do. All right, now this is where it's going to really come to life. Well, first I'm going to put out a few stems.
Hey, real quick, which brush are you using?
This is the 6 flat.
Okay, is it? Okay, it's a
This
flat.
is the Aspen short, short
okay,
handle.
It's not a bright.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
You passed
so
the test.
Putting out. Why?
I'm just being silly.
Oh. Okay, getting some of my lighter color. I'm mixing this mid-tone with my lightest tone, and I'm going to pull over the top. This paint is still wet, so I'm just going to, now this is what is important, don't over mix this, because you want that variation of dark and light here. So if you keep going over and over and over again, you're going to end up with a muddy mess, or it'll just all kind of turn to one color. So I want to just lay my brush down and kind of let these kind of brush strokes happen without doing too much to them. Okay, that's good enough. Now we've got some of them kind of looking like they're coming out at us, and some of them a little bit darker. Then I can go back in with my lightest color here, maybe even add a little bit of cadmium yellow light to it to brighten up that green. Maybe a little bit of white, more white. And just kind of hit it on a few of the top bits of those lightest colors. So just kind of setting my brush down and letting it make some light marks there. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to go back to kind of a mid-tone, do a few marks down lower, just a few, and that's going to be good for him. Okay, then let me use this color, this kind of darkish color. I'm going to put another plant right here coming down, so I'm going to tap this color on right here and kind of put it down low in my pot, coming over the edge. Okay, and then let's use kind of this with this. Let's kind of mix these two together and use this as my mid-tone of the geraniums. And I'm going to kind of just set my brush down and pull in for those leaves like that. And then there's maybe one here that's sort of just the underside showing. I'm going to come back through and add a little highlights here and there, but that center part will stay dark. they have kind of like fan-shaped leaves that have like ruffles on them, so just kind of doing these little side sweeping brush strokes, little ruffles. And then I'm going to use the corner of my brush to do little buds coming off some of these too. Okay. Let's use this darker color here. And it's a little bit lighter than that background color, so I'm just going to tap it into the middle of some of these leaves. There we go. And then we'll put some of the other in front there, so I'm not going to worry about those. I'm going to bring some of this down over the top of the pot there. Just with a lighter color, just kind of coming up over the edge of the pot.
We have several.
Getting that lighter color. What?
We have several comments about how great it looks without the flowers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this could definitely be one that you just did greenery, just did some did some simple shaped. Gonna put in some highlights in now with the corner of my brush and highlighting out some of these buds and the edges of those leaves that are sticking out the most. All right, that's good. And then let's go ahead and use this teal color here. I'm going to press that brush flat. I have a lot of paint in here, so at this point you could clean it out. I think I'm okay to keep going, but if it gets hard to control, then I'll definitely have to clean it out. I'm going to get a little bit of both my light teal and the dark teal here. And do the leaves on this plant that's right here. Kind of in front. This is a hellebore, I think. I think that's the name of it. I don't know what these are. Almost look like straw flowers or carnations or something like that up here. And I've already got kind of some leaves sort of started. So I'm just going to kind of play up on those and add some highlights. Things. That looks good enough. And again, don't cover up too much of your dark or you lose that contrast. Okay, and then I'm going to use the edge of the brush to do my there's like little lines through these leaves. Just a few little suggestions of some marks in these leaves. They have like variegation in them. Okay. Good. Might even do a couple more down the pot. Maybe right here, kind of coming down to connect these two. So we've got this one coming down this way. We'll have some coming down right here, so just like a couple little leaves coming down there. Be good. All right. I think we're ready to start our flowers. What?
Or hear this out. We could be done. Because it looks so amazing with the flowers.
Or hear me
Just
out.
be like a half day.
I love you.
Okay.
You want to go play video games? Is that what you're saying? Okay, I'll go fast. I think I'm going to use this for Filbert because I think I can get kind of my individual petals in with this one. I could probably continue with this one. It actually wasn't doing too bad with these leaves, but I'll have a little bit more control with this one. All right, so let me start over here and work this way so I'm not putting my hand in my wet paint. I know.
13 years, folks.
Cheers, cheers.
It's been 13
The
years.
cheers went out.
We have arrived.
Yes, yes. Although I still, this is still wet, so I could do it over here. I could put my hand in that. So I think I'm gonna just do some like tall, like little leafy. Don't know if I'm gonna. I don't think I'm gonna cluster my yellow flowers so closely together. I think I want to give them a little bit more breathing room. So I'm just gonna kind of put out some little leafy type, just dabbing stems and leaves there for these taller yellow flowers. Now I don't want them as tall as these because I do want them to kind of be a little bit lower just to give them, just be a little bit different from the rest. So that they're not all three the same height. It kind of competes, you know. So having these two a little bit lower and this one taller kind of just compositionally is a little bit better. And I'm getting my yellow and maybe a little bit of the burnt orange there. See, you can see what a pretty Quinacridone burnt orange is still available at Golden. At least it was a couple weeks ago. I ordered a bunch more of it. So I am going to be using it in my future videos because I love it so much. I hate that it got discontinued because it mixes like a dream. Look at that vibrant yellow that I got just by adding a little bit of it to that cadmium yellow. So I'm adding a little bit of white because it is transparent. So that is one of the tricky parts because it does not cover very well other colors. So I'm gonna just kind of do my little yellow flowers in here. And there, these ones at the top are kind of half domes. And I'm making them a little bit bigger than it's in the picture. I just want them to take up a little bit more space. A fly buzz in my face here. Like, hey, look at me, look at me. Annoying. So something like that. Maybe do one of them like a little higher than the others. Just gonna pull it up.
Do you have transparent red oxide?
I do. You can use that instead of the burnt orange. They have a new color that's supposed to be like the replacement color, which is Benzimidazolone burnt orange, but it doesn't have the pink tone. It's just kind of a more of a dull color. The red, the burnt, where is it? I'll show you the difference here because I got it on my chart. This, by the way, you can get, if you sign up for my newsletter, you can get a blank one that you can put all your colors on. Makes it easier to compare the colors. And you can also download my finished version here. But transparent red oxide is this, and the Quinacridone burnt orange is this one. You can see how much more pink that is. This is the benzimidazolone. So you can see how the benzimidazolone does not have the pink, as much pink undertone. It's subtle, but it's different. And then there's the transparent red oxide, which is more of a, closer to burnt sienna. It's more of a true orange. It's like the transparent burnt sienna, or the Winsor Newton burnt sienna that has a lot of orange tone in it. It's probably made with the same pigments. Burnt sienna, it can vary pretty widely. Same thing with burnt umber, because it's kind of however they burnt umber, burnt sienna, and I think raw umber, all three made with the same pigment, and it's just how they cook it to get the different tones. So that's why they kind of vary pretty widely between brands sometimes. But the red oxide is also, I think, the same pigment or a similar one, if I'm not mistaken. PR 101, no, PBR 7 is this one. So PR 101 is the iron oxide, and I'm not sure what the benzimidazolone is made out of. PBR 25.
Okay, she has like, I don't know, 100 some odd paints here and spinners and things like that. Mm-hmm. And she just spins it around and just grabs the tube, seemingly at random, but it's the one that she's looking for. But how the heck?
I do have probably
Do you
100
know
tubes of paint.
that tube?
Because I
that
keep
looks like
them
a-
organized. I keep my browns all together, and I keep and then the
Okay.
other specialty ones I kind of keep in certain. I have them organized so I know where they're at. Because not finding something is my pet peeve. So, you know me, I gotta know where stuff is. So I have everything's got its own little spot, so I can find it.
Okay, side cam has got the organization.
What?
I said I'm taking a side cam shot of the organization.
Yep.
That's,
Yep.
yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I
And
got
she just
them
grabs.
there, and then these ones are the
It's kinda
fluid
like-
paints.
It's kind of like a roulette.
And then this one is my bigger paints that are my most used paints. And then, yeah, I've got another two over here. One's got my brushes. No, I've got three more, actually. One's got kind of overflow. And then my brushes are on one, and then my fluorescent and golden open and other kind of lesser used paints are off to the side in one. So, yeah. Gotta keep them organized. And then I've also got drawers for the ones that I don't need out. Which is funny because this is pretty much all I ever use. So I have all these colors that I never use, but I have them just in case. You never know.
Well, what we didn't show on air, because we just don't share that with the world, is that what you actually do is that you hold your hand over it and the paint just jumps out of the thing into your
It just
hand.
magically go, and it just, here.
Yeah, it's like the force.
Yeah. That's funny. I wish. I'm going to add a little bit of green, the green gold to my burnt orange and yellow oxide here. I started to do my centers, but they weren't dark enough. So this will be darker. And I'm just going to do little semicircles for the tops of these. They're sticking out pretty far. Some of them are kind of facing me, so. Right, there we go. And we'll add my highlights to those, but for now that'll do. Let's go ahead and add some purple, and I switched to a round brush to make it a little bit easier there. And I think I'm going to switch to my angle brush, because with my angle brush I can do a lot of little dots. It holds more paint than a small round will, so I can kind of work faster. So I'm going to get my Quinacridone Magenta and my burnt umber, maybe, or not, I'm sorry, not burnt umber, Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Umber are saved in the same spot in my brain, along with Unbleached Titanium. So at any point, I can call out any of those three when I mean one of them. It's really annoying. It's my brain. Help me. All right. So I might go a little bit more magenta than that. I think it's more of a red violet color. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna go a little bit darker. There we go. So I've got a dark and a medium, and then I'll add white to get my light version. But I'm gonna dab this on for my purple tones, and I'm gonna go up into my yellow flowers and up this way. You could do any number of flowers that you want. This is just kind of what I ended up with because I had the photos when I was photoshopping. So there's not really any rhyme or reason except for they seem like they went together okay. So again, you can kind of mix and match and do your own favorite flowers in here. I would say this is more of a flower arrangement than a true flower pot because I don't know that these would grow together, you know, in a flower pot. But we're going to pretend that they did. Okay, there we go. And I brought those yellows over a little too far, but that's okay. Get some white. And I'm just going to remember where my light source is coming from and dab in my light color on that side of all these flowers. And just pointing my brush straight down so that I'm getting these little dots and things. Be sure to leave some of the dark. Kind of like lavender or something, some sort of salvia. Okay, we'll let that dry. It's got pretty thick paint on it, and we'll add some highlights to it. Let's go ahead and add our white flowers, and I'm going to use the white, grab that, and a little bit of my gray. That's just going to tone that white down so it's not too white. And these leaves should be pretty much done, so you should have kind of light and dark tones in here before you do this with your flowers. So I'm gonna dab my straight down and press down a little bit longer to get these little flower clusters. This is Elysium. I'm gonna add at the bottom here. Just thought it needed another little addition. They kind of grow in these little clusters of almost like little bouquets. Very similar to lantana in that way. Okay. Okay, that's good. Just maybe a little bit more, but all right. Let's go in and use this round brush again, and I'm going to get my Cadmium Yellow Light and a little bit of white. And try to kind of highlight some of these leaves. Setting my brush down and pulling it towards the center there. And you just have to have a point on your brush so that when you lift, it'll come back to a point. You can kind of press down that point and get a little bit wider start, but then when you lift it, you want it to kind of spring back into shape.
Do you have any prints of your paintings?
I don't right now, no.
Okay. I didn't think we did.
No, but I'm looking for a new partner to do that kind of thing. So if anybody knows of a good one, let me know in comments. I think I'm going to use Fourth Wall, but just haven't set it up. It just takes so much time to get everything uploaded and all. I used to have them with Teespring, and they I don't know. I'm not going to say anything bad about them on air, but just was having trouble with them recently, so I've stopped using them. So we ordered some shirts and things, and there was long delay. Long delay, so, and it wasn't just us. But they refunded, so it's fine. I don't have a beef with them. I just won't be using them again. All right, getting a little bit of the mid-tone color with my yellow here, and I'm just going to dab it onto the top of the flowers. And this tone is very similar to the background in values, so they're not showing up very much. So if you wanted to, you could make these a little bit darker, a little bit lighter than that background. That's the way to kind of help them be a little bit more visible if it's bothering you. I don't like how this is a straight line. You see how that's doing like that? That's bugging me. So I think I'm going to make this one go all the way around, just so that it's doing something different there. Kind of breaks that up a little bit. Okay. Get a little bit of that mid-tone color and just bring it around there. Okay. Let's go ahead and add some highlights to the purple. How are we doing on time? Good. Okay. Get some of the magenta and white. A little bit of that purple. Make sure I'm going with a lighter value than what I've already done. And just go in here and dab in a few more highlights. It can be pink. And go into the areas where we've already done and do a few little pink highlights. Okay. Okay, and then the Elysium have kind of a dark center in them, so I'm just gonna use the same color, maybe a little bit of burnt umber with my yellow here, and just a few of them, just kind of dab in little centers. And you can also add more white, just white flowers or highlights here and there. Since we started with kind of a grayish color, you can add another highlight to some of them if you need it. Okay, that's good enough, I think. I wish that these mingled a little bit, like, you know, like I'm tempted to throw a yellow one down here just to kind of pull it down into this area so that it's not the only place it is, or you could put some of the Elysium up high, but I think I'm gonna leave it because I got other flowers to do. So I'm gonna use my yellow and my magenta. A little bit of the cadmium red maybe. Ooh, picked up a little bit of that green, but that's okay. Let me see. I think I want a little bit more magenta here. So just making a coral color. And use it to do these. Make sure that that green is dry. It's a little bit wet in a couple places still, so you may have to kind of be careful as you're doing this not to pick up that green. Doing that, getting some white. Mix what's left in my brush here. And I'm just going to kind of pull and dab, pull in some little individual brush strokes with that edge of my brush. Excuse me. Just kind of dabbing over the top and kind of at the bottom, sort of swishing side to side a little bit to get those little shapes. And then more white for my highlight color. And again, just kind of dabbing. Now again, this one is going to be less than all the rest, so my highlight color I want to use the most sparingly, because otherwise everything, unless you've got a light colored flower, and then you'll use more of it. But if you've got a regular colored flower, you know, that's just like a regular value of pink, then I'm not going to use, you're going to be using your mid-tone color more than this light. Okay, that's good. Might do one more, like right in here. Get that mid-tone color in there. All right, I'll call that good. Let me go ahead and do my red over here, and then I'll come back and do my other flower here. So I'm going to use my Cadmium Red Light and Magenta. These are drying out on me. See the chunks in there? The air is just drying my paint out. Okay, there, and magenta. And maybe around 50-50 or so. And you'll get kind of a nice fire engine red color. And then in order to make it really pop, you can add a little bit of white to make it a little bit more opaque. That seems to be covering okay. So I'm just going to kind of set my brush down to create my petals. Plop, 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 plop. And they'll just keep plopping them on there. The hydrangea, or not hydrangea, geranium are actually pretty easy flowers to paint because they're just kind of clusters of blossoms that sort of overlap, so you're not having to really paint in anything too carefully. You can kind of do these blobs and just sort of pull in your colors and make sure your outline is kind of in a roughly circular or triangular shape. I'm just going to dab in like that. And it's amazing what your eye will fill in, you know? You don't have to paint every little detail. Your eye will fill in those details for you, as long as you get the general shape sort of right. Okay, I think that's pretty good there. Now I'm going to get my lighter color, my white. This is my mid-tone, so I'm going to go over just a few of these petals and leave that darkest part kind of in the center. And some of these I'm going to kind of use the corner edge and almost just do a line. Okay, then more white. And then in the centers of some of them, there's kind of some littler brush strokes, so you can kind of get your brush and tap a little bit, but it's pretty good, I think. Good enough. You can always go back over these now that they're on there and add your brighter colors too, if you need them. So I think I'm going to add a little bit of this brighter tone to my flowers over here, just in a couple spots, just to brighten them up a little bit. And then in here, let's go ahead and get my white and a little bit of this purple. And I still have this color in here, so what this will do is tie together this color over. So we'll use this kind of purple tone in this one and do a big flower right here. Something like that. And then there's a couple more over here that are sort of not open. They're facing away from us. And a couple buds. Do a bud over here. Okay, now white. I'm going to get a little bit of yellow with my white. Use that on the inside. inside of some of these. And it's pretty light, so there's not any dark values in here. So let's get a darker value for us to use in here. So I think I'm going to use my magenta and a little bit of that. Maybe a little bit of the burnt orange. And just maybe a slight bit of green. Because it's kind of a gray color on these flowers. So I'm going to just use that to kind of separate out some of those petals just a little bit. Just add a little bit of along the edge to help define them a little bit. Right, and then there's some stems coming off of them. I'm going to get some ultramarine blue and some of that burnt orange and put that in sort of at the base, coming down. Get some of this bright red here and just add a little bit of it over. Just to brighten up those flowers there in that pot. Not loving these ones, so I might add a little bit more magenta to them. I feel like they're a little bit dull. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush here. Get the 2 round and some of my yellow. And the centers of these are actually kind of a green gold, so I'm going to kind of dab in that green gold for now. And then get some white and my yellow. And do my little dabs around with that. Not loving that one.
Now, are these regular dabs or are they dibby dabs?
Regular dabs, I
Okay,
think.
all right. Just want to make sure.
Get some more white out.
Did you make a mistake?
Huh?
Did you make a mistake?
White out? Haha.
Oh, wait a minute. I got a button for that and I always forget that. Hold on, I gotta find it. Turn it on.
It's okay.
And then the sensor steps in. No. Fine.
Too late.
What if I do it again? What, did you make a mistake?
So funny. Alright, I'm gonna go over that a little bit with some of the purpley pink. And I'm just trying to kind of get a little bit of a shape out of that. I think I want to go a little bit darker right here. That'll make it look like it's going down in right there. So if I kind of bring that dark color into the center a little bit more. Shape those petals out a little bit. Added a little bit of the highlight color along the top of the petals over there. Magenta and burnt sienna, or burnt quinacridone burnt orange, maybe a little bit of blue. Just darken up right there in the center of these. and kind of where the petals overlap a little bit, these buds. All right, that's good enough. These ones are kind of complicated flowers for this. I probably could have just done geraniums everywhere and it'd been fine. So you could do different colored geraniums and I think it would look good too. And I've done a painting like that before and I really like it, how it looked. So, you know, making it a little bit more difficult than it has to be here. I'm gonna get some magenta and white. Just use this in these flowers up here. Just a little bit of magenta in there. And I think I'm not really making them into any particular shade. That may be the problem. They're really kind of shapeless. They're sort of just these little ovals with squiggly lines in them. So we could do that along the bottom edge here and try to define them as sort of okay. The carnations have a lot of wiggles in them, so that's what they look like to me, kind of like carnations with
Like the group from Australia?
carnations. What are you talking about?
No, the Wiggles.
Oh,
The carnations.
okay.
I cracked myself up.
Yeah. All right, getting a little bit of green here, just using the magenta and cadmium red light. There is like a little bit, maybe even some yellow. Maybe that's what I'm missing. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah, this is good. I like the orangey tone here. Okay. So doing that. Get a little bit of the white. Just on the ones that need it. I'm sure if you look down in it, they're probably like straw flower, which is why I kind of started out doing little individual brush strokes, more like, you know, petals of a daisy. Then we could get some white and some yellow. Maybe just kind of dab in little centers on some of these. All right, I think that's good enough. We don't have to know what they are. Sorry. Gonna tickle in my throat now. I'm going to use the same yellow and white right here on these ones. And just at the top of them, kind of give them a little bit of a highlight just so they're showing up a little bit better against that background. Some of them. And then I think I need to do a little bit darker where they meet the flower petals. So I'm going to go in with some burnt orange, maybe a little bit of green even, burnt orange and yellow oxide here. And just maybe even get a little bit of burnt sienna. Dabbing around them. See the difference on the ones I've done and this one I haven't done. So do this one and then just a little bit more defined. Okay, that's better. And the reference photo has some other flowers over here, but I don't think I'm going to add them. I think it's just too much with the Elysium. Let's do the blue flowers over here, and our butterfly, and we'll be done. Let me see. We just got plenty of time still. All right, so I'm going to get kind of 50-50 on the blues and some white. And just dab in my little flowers. 5 petals. And they bunch up. This is one of my favorite little filler flowers lately. I've added them to a lot of paintings. Palette. One we did. What painting did they want a print of, by the way? I meant to ask. Did they have a particular one they wanted?
It was the paintbrush flowers.
Yeah, I do want to do that. When it has a print, for sure. Okay, well now that I know, that'll be my goal for this week. Might even, yeah, try to get it going. It's been on my to-do list and I just haven't prioritized it, so.
Well, you got stuff going on, so it's on the list.
It's on the list for sure. All right, so just going in with some white now and adding my white highlights around the edges. These are pretty wet, so they're not. Probably should have done these blue when I did my hydrangeas, and then this would have been dry. It'd have been a lot easier. And I want to add stems to these too.
AKA flower feet.
Exactly. I did want to say, if you are painting along with this, that you might want to watch it all the way through. I should have said that at the beginning, but because it's probably too late for you now if you've already started. But watch it all the way through and take notes. Because I have people, saying they're frustrated because they can't paint along in real time with me, and that's not how these are designed, because if I was doing this with you one-on-one, then I would be stopping to have you catch up, and I would show you some and then stop, but we don't have time for that, so we're just moving on, but in a real classroom setting you would have time to catch up in between as I painted. What? Yes, please. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, getting my kind of darker blue here. I'm going to go back in and kind of do a darker center around the middle here. Sorry, my throat is just weird tonight. I probably need a smaller brush. We'll see. Yeah, I think I do. I'm going to get a smaller round here that I can get finer lines with. So this is a 2 round. And I'm going to go in a circle around those dark blue, kind of in the middle of it. Little white circle. And they don't have to be perfect circles, so you know, you can do kind of broken circles. It's fine, because you know, depending on the angle you're looking at these, they might be facing away from you. You may not see the whole thing, so you don't have to make them all perfectly round, you know. Okay, there we go. Guys, there. And I might do just a few little leafies off to the side here. Okay, then go back to this one here and do my white with a little bit of yellow in it. With this brush, I'll have an easier time doing these thinner lines here, so I want to splay out some little lines from here coming out, and then dabbing little dots at the tips of them. All right. Then maybe get my white and come around these little guys and just can define a few of them if you want. Yeah, I'm not, kind of almost wish I'd done these pink ones here and the yellow ones here, just to break up all of the pink right here. We can add a little bit of the pink over into here a little bit more. We already have some pink here. We could put a few flower petals down here, which I thought I might do for the hydrangea, especially just kind of like a few petals kind of setting down. And then maybe for these pink ones, do a couple pink petals or another flower. In my reference photo, it's a flower, but I don't think I'm going to put flowers down there right now. Just we're toward the end of the night. Getting a little bit of ultramarine blue in my magenta here. Okay. Kind of made them a little bit same, so I'm going to add some more red over here so that they're a little bit more different, because I kind of did the same exact three dabs, you know, over there. So, okay. I'm going to take that one off because it's covering up the pot too much. All right, so you can kind of now at this point look at it, see if there's anything else you want to add, if there's anything you missed. Oh, the butterfly. We didn't do our butterfly. Oh, yeah, we have time. Let's do our butterfly. So I'm gonna do a kind of orangey butterfly. Get my yellow and cadmium red light. Do him right up here. Gonna do just like a triangle with a rounded off rump on this side. Leave a little space for the body to go. Losing my voice. This dry air. Alright, this is what the black comes in. So a little bit of black, burnt umber, and then let's get a little bit of the white unbleached titanium with this black, and I'm going to create the body. So I'm just going to kind of do a little dab for the head, and then the body is going to be kind of gray. And zoom in on this. Getting that unbleached titanium. I'm just going to dab it on there. It's not going to look like much at first, so we got to kind of work our way towards where we want to be. I think I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. It'll make it easier to get these little details in. So let's get our black and a little bit of burnt umber. And I define that body a little bit. That head is a little too big. Let me see if I can get some of that off. There we go. The eye is like right in here. What are you doing?
Well, I was trying to adjust side camera, but
Making a lot of noise over
it's
there.
not cooperating.
Okay, so just kind of did an outline a little bit there. And then I'm going to get some of the darker black and start making these little panes that I'm seeing. Again, this is something that I will have drawn out for you so you can trace it on. Okay. Getting some white in my unbleached titanium. And I'm going to do my little white spots. There's one there. There's one there. There. And then there's a few little ones kind of along the wing. I'll go ahead and give him a little highlight around the face a little bit. Getting some of that black. Maybe a little bit of the burnt umber with the unbleached titanium, so it's kind of brownish. Not fully black, and then dab in on this lower part. It's a lot of brown. And get the black. There's a couple little eyes. couple of darker spots. And I'm gonna kind of go along the outside just a little bit to define it. But if you dab it, it doesn't look as harsh. I'm gonna get some of that orange and a little bit of the burnt orange just so it's a little bit darker, and put a few little lines in through the orange part. If it doesn't show up, go a little bit darker. And then get that orange color again and come back in. Add some highlights and define little areas so you can kind of clean up any messes. And then I'm gonna use that kind of darker gray brown burnt umber color in the bottom of the body here, and kind of between the body and the wings coming out. And then give him some legs. The legs come kind of where the wings come out, right here on the thoracic, right between the head and the body, right there. Get a little bit more of that unbleached titanium. I'm gonna dab in along the outer part of the body. Come on. I can clean out my brush, it'd be easier, but being lazy. Okay. Get my black. Come back in with the strong black in a couple places. I kind of always like to start with kind of a mid-tone color, not too dark, and then go to black right at the end when I want to really punch it up, the details, and then it really stands out. And then it doesn't look so out of place when you have it in with some kind of more mid-tone colors too. It doesn't seem as harsh. So, okay, I think that's good enough there. Maybe not my best, but it's all right. Again, kind of trying to keep it with the same look of the rest of the painting, and not going too deep into detail with it. And let's give it some antennae too. So go in with some burnt umber, I think, for that. Go. Cute. All right, again, you can kind of mix and match, move these around however you want, use other flowers, whatever works for you. I think we could have, done different configurations here and gotten different results. Maybe put our yellow ones down here or whatever, but I think overall, I'm pretty happy with it. So, hope you guys try it. It's a lot of fun. Kind of a more simplified version, a little bit more of that impressionist style. What'd I say?
No, make sure that's right.
So.
People are dealing with spell check. Sorry. It's just
What?
funny.
Dealing with spell check?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, So while you do that,
Woo! Super chat.
super chat. Yes, we had 2 super chatters tonight. The first one was from Wordy,
Oh, thank
and
you,
it was
Wordy.
like a emoji con thing.
I like it.
So that's why it's telling you what it looked like.
Thank you, Wordy.
Yes,
That's
thank
so
you
sweet.
very much. That's awesome. And then we have one from Lori Austin.
Lori. Oh, thank you. You guys are so generous. Wow.
Incredible. Those were amazing.
So sweet. Thank you.
Yes.
Very cool. Well, think you like it then. Good. Glad you like it. That makes me feel good. All right. Yeah, I think the only thing I can see is that maybe I could have gone a little bit darker with my shadows here, just to really bump up the contrast in the foreground. So that could be something that we do just right at the end here. I can use that glaze that I've got with some burnt umber and ultramarine blue. Get a nice dark glaze color. The glaze just helps it stick when you add a lot of water to your heavy body acrylics. They have less binder than other paints, so if you're using a student acrylic, you probably won't have to worry about it, but if you're using a heavy body acrylic and you're adding a lot of water to it to thin it out for a glaze like this, then you may want to add a little bit of glazing medium if you have it. All right, so just, whoops, kind of did a little wiggle right there. There we go. I'm just going to go in the same spot that I did before and just add a little bit more shadow right along that edge. Yeah, so these are the 2 that I've done, and this one I haven't done. You can see the difference there. Just helping to really define that edge a little bit better. And it should be about the same value in darkness as the pot. So if it's really noticeable, then you may want to darken up your pot too, you know. Your pot should be already kind of this dark color. And then the shadows should just kind of flow out of it, almost the same value. And by value, I just mean darkness, level of darkness, you know. Dark and light. It has nothing to do with color, just how dark it is. And you really could use any color here. It wouldn't really matter as long as it was dark. So if you wanted to add a little blue or purple or whatever, you're fine to do that, just to darken up your edge there. Okay, I feel a little bit better about that. It seems like a little bit more defined. I still kind of still messes with my brain that the pots are so messy, but I like the looser style, so I'm going to leave them. But if it bothers you, you can kind of clean those up and make them a little bit more precise. So, and I probably, if I was on not trying to keep this beginner friendly, I would probably go back in and try to define these up a little bit more. But I'm trying to kind of keep a looser style, so that goes with the territory. All right. Thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Come back, subscribe if you haven't already. What are you waiting for? You can sign up for my newsletter and get that free color chart, and also see what's going on in our Patreon for free. There's a free bonus video, so you can kind of check out what's happening on Patreon by signing up for our newsletter on my website. It's thankfulart.com. And you can also see all of my tutorials that we've got. We've got hundreds, literally hundreds, think about 1,000 free tutorials on there. The traceables for most of those are available for $5 a month on Patreon. So you get unlimited downloads for $5 a month for hundreds and hundreds of tutorials. And also that includes the beginner series, and I'll show you what we've been doing on our $15 tier. We're almost to the end of this one. We've got a couple more weeks left on it, but it is our $15 tier. We meet on once a week, and Fridays right now, Fridays at 2 p.m. And we do about an hour to 2 hours of lesson on the same painting until we get it to where we like it. So we're going to be adding more mushrooms and flowers and some words. Right now we're voting on what words we want to put on our books, what titles, book titles. Voting for Pride and Prejudice, so hopefully that makes the cut. But so, lots of fun. Oh, I already voted. I already swayed the vote. So anyhow, if you want to join, there's more information on my website about that, or you can just go straight to Patreon, patreon.com/AngelaFineArt. Yay, thank you, Mark. And, huh?
I picked up the hint.
Yeah. There's links down in the description for all that too, so if you are
For
interested, you
that
can
and
check those out.
supplies and all that stuff.
Yep, all that good stuff. So hope you guys try this one. It was a lot of fun, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.